In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do a statement of comprehensive income. And what it is really straightforward. It's just showing money coming into the business and money going out, and what we would keep as gross profit and then what we'd keep as net profit. So you should be familiar with these terms already, but it's how we lay this thing out that's important. You'll notice there's two columns, and this is what confuses people more than anything about this statement. It's the fact that they're trying to work out what goes in each column. A general rule of thumb is that businesses will keep the money in or kept in the right hand column. So things that represent money the business is keeping or money that's coming in goes in the right hand, and money they have to spend is coming in on the left hand column. So they're putting things in the left hand column. So for example, turnover, which is money you're taking at the tills over a set period of time. So that's the all the money, all the revenue they're making in a month really should go in the money in column, as should the gross profit, the money they're keeping once cost of sales has been removed. So that's how you lay this thing out. It's really important you get that format right. And some of the exam questions may have a slightly differing form, or they may put the columns the other way around. But I, as a rule of thumb, always do money in or money being kept in the right hand side and money going out in the left hand side. Just makes things nice and tidy for you. So to work out turnover, which you should already be familiar with, which, as I said to you, is your revenue, the money you're taking over a set period of time, and this is for the past month, as you can see in the question, we need to work out two things. We need to add two quantities together. So 3,000 portions of small chips at £1 per portion, we know that that's going to be £3,000. So I don't need to use the calculator for this, but you can if you need to for these questions. So actually, I'll just to make it easy for you. And 1,000 portions of chips at £2 is going to be £2,000. So what I need to do is add those two together. I'm going to highlight these yellow as well to show that I've actually kind of worked through them. You can scribble on things as well in the exam paper to show you working out. So add these two together is going to give me my turnover, what was been sold and what price they've sold it for. So 3,000 plus 2,000 is going to give me a turnover. Remember, it goes in the right hand column, 5,000. Right, nice and straightforward there. And now we've got to work out the cost of sales. So they bought 1,000 kilos of potatoes at £1 per kilogram. Well, again, that's really straightforward, isn't it? £1,000. No issue there. So I'll highlight that yellow. So we've got £1,000 so far, and we've got, actually I'll highlight this different colour because it's expenditure. Just make sure that it looks nice and straightforward for you all. So they bought that for that, and then 250 litres of vegetable oil at £2 per litre. So again, we're going to multiply 250 by 2, pretty straightforward, and that gives us £500. So we need to add these two values together, the cost of all your potatoes, the cost of all your vegetable oil, and that's £1,500, and that's your cost of sales. So hopefully that makes sense. You've spent this money. That's the stuff in purple. So we're adding those two things that we've bought in together to get your cost of sales. So now we can work out the gross profit. We literally subtract the cost of sales from the turnover, and then that gives us our gross profit. So 5,000 minus 1,500. I'll do it on the calculator for you, but it's 3,000. So 5,000 minus 1,500 is 3,500. And that's our gross profit. But it's not over yet. When we run a business, we've got lots of other things we need to spend money on in order to run it. Expenses. And these are also sometimes known as indirect costs. Okay? So sometimes expenses are referred to as indirect costs. So they're not costs directly involved in making money on the till, like the cost of potatoes and the cost of vegetable oils, but they are actually involved in running the business. And without having the money available to pay for these things, the business will collapse. So for example, they had 4 part-time staff in that month, each being paid £500. All right, so maybe 20 hours a week. So they're paid £500. So we need to multiply 500 by 4, which gives us a figure of 2,000. Actually, I'll put the expenses in green so that each thing's a bit separate for you. Okay, so 4 part-time staff at £500 each, they get paid in total £2,000. So we put that in this left-hand column because it's money going out of the business, 2,000. Oh, and you don't have to put the pound signs in, by the way, because the pound signs are already in the column there, in the column heading. Okay, so the rent of the business then is £500. That's pretty straightforward. There's no calculation needed there. So £500. Just told you not to put pound signs in, and I've just gone and done it myself. 500. Okay, utility bills. So utilities are gas, electric, water, anything that you have to spend in order to run the building. So electricity and gas, that's 90 plus 60. Nice rounded figure that will come to is 150. So 90 plus 60 is 150. So what we need to do now, before we work out the net profit, and sometimes they won't have total expenses written down, they'll just have net profit directly below. You've got to work out what your total expenses are. So that's why I left that out intentionally. So when you do have questions like that, you don't get too confused. Sometimes though, they will put a row in for total expenses, and you can put your, adding all these figures together in that. So 2,000 plus 500 is 2,500, plus 150 is 2,650. Hope that makes sense. So 2650. Right. Keep that there for a second. 2650. You can put it here if you want. If you want to help yourself out, total expenses. But it's not usually left in. So, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that figure away from this figure to work out my net profit. So net profit is total expenses taken away from gross profit, or gross profit minus total expenses. So 2,650 taken away from 3,500. Let's work that out. 3,500 minus 2,650 equals £850 in net profit. So that's extra money the business gets to keep each month. So that's how you do a statement of comprehensive income, and I can remove that afterwards. And there we go. So we had a turnover in this chip shop of £5,000. That's what was taken on the tills each month, but it cost them £1,500, right, in terms of what they had to spend on potatoes and cooking oil. That left them then with a gross profit of £3,500. That was worked out by subtracting this from this. Then we had to look at their expenses. So they had to pay their staff some wages. They had to pay for rent of the business premises, that means the building, and they had to pay for utility bills. Okay, so they had to add all these together, which gave them 2,650 in terms of expenses. That's more money they've got to spend, and that had to be taken out from the gross profit. So we minus that 2,650, which is what all these add together as, from this. So we minus that figure from this, and we're left with £850 net profit. That's the actual money the business gets to keep once everything has been paid for. So you started off with £5,000 and you're down to 850 of net profit. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to sign off on this video.